today, but get through this session. But we got a pretty solid agenda for you guys tonight. But definitely call the order to a meeting to order, and then we'll move into the public comment today. Who is on tap for public comment? Do we have folks who are present on the line and ready to go?
Yes, they are on the line to go. I'm going to make Dorian Thomas presenter. Sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm also going to add Dr. Herrera as well. So, Dorian Thomas, you should be able to come off of mute. And
hello, how's everybody doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. So, and also, Best Kids organization. Thank you for that. So, I'm just here, as I told Dr. H, our executive director, I'm just here to, spread the good word about how amazing Best Kids is and how it has impacted my life. So, pretty much, I am a former youth in foster care. I entered into care pretty old, like around 16. I turned 17 not too long after I entered care. So already kind of fully formed because of situations happened. I ended up in care. From there, through, certain situations that happened, my social worker felt like Best Kids was a good, place for me, like, just for me to get connected with somebody that could be my friend and support me. And just ever since then, my life has never been the same. I've had, life. Unfortunately, my first mentor, things did not end well with him, but he was an awesome guy. Sometimes personalities don't line, but he was an awesome guy. He did a lot for me. And I am blessed, though, that the last mentor that I had, his name is David. He's a wonderful, awesome guy who's been there for me throughout, you know, some of my darkest times. And he is a lifelong friend of mine, so I still talk to this day. And that is what Best Kids is about, is that we partner youth that are going through troubling circumstances with, a mentor to help, bridge the gap and to, help overcome, these systemic barriers. So, for example, with my mentor, after, unfortunately, I was abused by my partner, you know, when I had pretty much, I was down on my luck. My mentor was there. He pulled me up and he helped keep me going. And Best Kids, especially, was there for me. They put me in multiple leadership positions. They have not only made me the head of their youth advisory council, which was what we founded to give our youth a voice and to get feedback on our program, but they even, promoted me to mentor support specialist. So just like I was managed, my relationship with my mentor was managed by a wonderful person. I am now that wonderful person that manages the relationship of our mentees now. So I've made an incredible journey. I went from a young, man with a lot of anger to now I'm a wiser man with a father. I'm a father now, and I've just been able to grow with Best Kids, and I've been blessed to, by a wonderful organization. A lot of people doesn't know about Best Kids, but they're going to learn about us soon enough. We are, we're a gym. We are based in Southeast DC. That's something that, is very important. Southeast DC is one of the, it has a very bad reputation. And there are a lot of youth here. It's a lot of beauty here, and there are a lot of youth here that need somebody, that need a mentor, that need guidance. Just youth in foster care, youth in this area, and we're here. We work with the youth in foster care. We work with youth, and we're a large portion of our youth are either based in Ward 7 to 8, some of the most heavily impacted, areas in DC by, poverty and, systemic problems. So just for us to be in the heart of, the places that need people the most and we're servicing them, we're doing an amazing job. So I just want to thank you all for giving us, the funds and the ability to continue to service you, because without Best Kids, I don't know where my life would be, but thankfully, that's not the case. Like, I'm blessed and I'm in a wonderful position now that I can honestly say I wouldn't be in without Best Kids or without the staff member who even pushed for me to be in this position. They saw potential in me and they saw, good things about me, and they said, we're going to push him and we're going to be a support to him. And that's what this is all about. So thank you for your time. And now, yeah, I would like to put on the a mentor of ours. She's a wonderful young lady, and her name is Stacey McNamee. Go ahead, take it away. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Stacey McNamee. I would like to start off saying that with Best Kids, I was a child in foster care too. Well, I'm not in foster care anymore because I've been adopted after about like 4 months, 4 to 5 months. But when I first got into foster care, unfortunately, I didn't know what was going on. And though my parents was bad because my mother, she tried to kill me when I was 3, and my dad abused me. Though they were bad, I still missed them, and I didn't know what was going on, and I was going from place to place, and I didn't know how to express my feelings though as much. So when my social worker introduced me to Best Kids, I was like, no, I don't want to go there and this, that, and the third. But when I came to Best Kids, I found somebody that I could talk to 24/7, someone to get me out of my situation, someone to lift me up from the depths of sadness that I was in, someone to take me out of my mindset of depression or feeling like nobody will want to talk to me or nobody will really want to care about me. And through Best Kids, I've become a better young lady, a more mature young lady. I've uh, learned life skills like how to do a resume, how to fill out a resume, different scholarships I can get to college, which colleges they can put me through, like the different opportunities. The subject today, which was, do you think gun violence is a problem in my community? I found a lot of ways to deflect, like disengage the conversation or conflict. Um, I found different ways to handle things. Um, it has changed my life dramatically because when I first got into foster care, I wouldn't like to come out the house, and that was just truthfully me being honest. Like I did not like to come out the house. I did not like talking to people. I didn't like people getting nowhere near me because I felt as though if I opened up, I would get hurt. And through Best Kids, I found that not everyone is bad, and there's people actually out there to help you. I just have to reach my hand and meet them there halfway. Um, for my mentors, not all of my mentors was cool, but not all of my mentors I've seen eye to eye with. My very first mentor, she changed my whole perspective because she was a different race too. She was a different race, and from that one situation where lightly colored, she was very disrespectful to me, and from that didn't like people of that skin tone. But she changed my perspective. She was there for me through and throughout. She even knew I was going through, and she would constantly get me, constantly reassure me, say that I would be in a better place no time soon. She'll get what's coming to her. So kudos to her, but unfortunately, most of my mentors either left the agency. That's most of them did. They left the agency, and only one I haven't connected with eye to eye because she was a little older than me, and we just didn't see eye to eye. Like certain things she saw that I didn't see, I just, I just didn't like it. But yeah. Oh, and thank you for and overall and Best Kids. It's good. Like it's a very great program. I would like to say thank you for sponsoring Best Kids and catering to them. Because by you catering to them, you're catering to me also. And I love the program very much. It's one of the things I look forward to when I find out they're holding an event.
Thank you for your conversation. Yes, thank you for having us.
Of course. Thank you both for your, your testimony, your commentary. Um, your candor about your experiences and the love that you have for Best Kids is clear. I do have a question for Stacy, if you don't mind. Um, and I appreciate the way that you frame your experience for us and sort of why um, Best Kids is important to you. I'm curious um, if you were talking to a peer or someone your age, and you were trying to express to them why this could be a beneficial program for them, what would you say to a peer? You guys are on mute. Looks like you guys are on mute.
I'm sorry. I would say to them that it's a great way to get out the house. It's a great way for them to give you new opportunities. It's a great way to learn things. It's a great way to earn easy money just by talking about the things that happen in the world. Um, it's very beneficial, and if you're paired with the right person, that right person will stick with you forever, depending on if the person leaves the company. I would say it's a great asset, especially because it's in DC. DC has a bad name altogether, and I grew up here. So
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. Thank you. And are we going to hear from Dr. Herrera
Yes,
today or no?
I'm right here. Hello, everyone. Tough acts to follow. Thank you for funding us. And what I really wanted to do with this speaking today is to let you hear and see the results of what we're doing. So with our out of school time grant, we've been able to service over 90 youth, grades K through 12. During the time of mentoring, we've created, as you've heard, some long-lasting relationships. We've also provided around 1,000 hours of mentoring per quarter with our youth, and then we've hosted 10 peer group activities with about 105 youth attending. So we're experts in mentorship. We're growing into the career and college space, and we're focusing heavily on community growth because, as both of them said, we're located in Ward 7, Ward 8. So we want to open up and provide more activities and more mentors for our youth in there. Also, we have lost our funding. I shouldn't say lost our funding from CFSA. So they were our main funder, about a third of our budget. Our funding was rolled up to another agency. So we have applied and we're looking at growing for the mentorship, the career and college mentorship grant from OST. And then also we have applied for a continuation of the grant. So we are excited to be here. We are ready to grow. We are poised to grow, and it's imperative that we get out into the community and find more funding. And like I said, OST has been a great partner, enjoyed working with all the staff members that we have. Very professional, very outgoing, and it's just such a need that, I mean, every day it breaks my heart that we can't service as many people that need it, that come into our areas because of funding. So thank you for all you do. And if there's any way it can be a service, I would love to. And as you said, you see our youth, they're ready to go and ready to do whatever we need to do and take on the world. And that's what we're here to do, provide them the opportunities. And also we have great mentors that have been wonderful assets as well. So thank you all. And we're here to help whatever way we can. Appreciate the time to talk to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Dr. Herrera. And are there any commissioners or OST office staff who have questions for Dr. Herrera, for Mr. Thomas, or Stacy? All right. Thank you again for your time today.
Thank you. Keep up the good work. We really appreciate it.
All right, so let's transition into roll call. Just see who's here, and my apologies if I should have done this earlier, but I'm gonna go ahead and call off each commissioner's name with a roll call and let us know if you are here. So, Commissioner Berkey.
She's excused.
No. Okay. Commissioner Coates. Okay. Commissioner Crump. Like Commissioner Hanson is also excused. Commissioner Harding. Okay. Commissioner Hill.
Present.
Good to hear your voice.
Thank you.
Commissioner Holland is here. That is me. Commissioner Funk is excused. Commissioner Jordan, are you on the line today? Commissioner Peacock is absent as well. Commissioner Peeler, I think I saw you.
Yes, here.
Great. Commissioner Safran.
I'm here.
Okay. Great. Commissioner Siegel,
Here.
Commissioner Spector. I see him right here, but yeah. Okay. Commissioner Taylor. And Dr. Bowie is here. So, okay.
Here.
I am not clear as to whether that is a quorum. That is a pretty.
At my count, we have 7. Want to see if any other team members see any other commissioners that I have not accounted for today. We need 8 in total, which can include me for quorum.
Okay.
Alex, is anybody else on the line that's not, like wasn't able to get into the panel position?
Not that I see. Give me 1 second.
Thank you all for waiting while we do our due diligence. I don't know that we've ever met this fate for not having quorum.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't have my Robert's rules and protocols in front of my face, but I'd imagine we could have still push forward the meeting and the agenda. We just couldn't vote on anything official, and everything, all sort of items that need to be voted on would have to be postponed to the next meeting where we do have a quorum, but we could, hear the updates, etc. But or we could not push forward, then we don't have a quorum. But I'm just not sure what is the more acceptable approach in this scenario, because by my count we're at 7 as well. So floor is open. Are there thoughts from other commissioners or staff on how best to proceed here?
Thank you, Commissioner.
I think we should proceed with the meeting and then hold any votes for a future meeting when we do have quorum. And if I'm looking at the agenda, it seems like the only things that we would be voting on would be the agenda and the minutes, which aren't major items. Important, but not major. So I think those could be addressed at the future meeting when we have quorum.
Thank you. And I see Deborah taking a look. It looks like, I'll speak for her, at specifically Robert's rules just to ensure that we have the appropriate protocol. Again, of course, we'd have something new, but I also don't disagree with charging forward without votes, but we wanna honor the process. And Deborah, I understand that this is the first time, so please take your time to do your due diligence. And if it's that we should charge forward, I absolutely agree, and then we can hold off the votes. And I believe you are correct, Commissioner Peeler, that the only items up for vote today are likely the agenda and the minutes.
It looks like in the bylaws, it says that without quorum, the OST commissioners in attendance may adjourn the meeting until a quorum is present. So if you choose to go ahead, then you can.
Yeah, it says may, and it does not say shall. And those are two different things. I am not an attorney. I just know a lot of them, and I married one. I think that means we can move forward. So, so I think we should go ahead, since we have 7 folks who have taken the time and carved out their evening, that we should go forward to hear the updates that are available. We can bypass, the protocol of approving the agenda. You guys see it in front of your face. We will hold off on approving the minutes, review them at your leisure, and just make sure it's done before our next general meeting. But why don't we go ahead and skip to section 6 of the agenda for updates from the ice cream science grants and the Falcons office.
We will start.
First team.
All right, good evening, commissioners. So the update for the Institute for Youth Development, as of the 3rd quarter, we have thus far provided 67 events and served 734 unduplicated attendees for fiscal year 22. I think we're pretty close to being on target to meeting our goals for this year, which would be 836 unduplicated attendees and about 100 events, but there's a few that have not been accounted for yet. So I'm fingers crossed that we'll be very close to reaching those goals for fiscal 22. Currently, the Institute team is conducting summer site visits. We're doing a hybrid approach again, as we did during the school year, where half are in person and half are virtual, although all summer programming is running in person this year. Some really cool things that we've seen already, and we should be completed within probably by August 12th, the latest. And we had just a little over 40 plus summer site visits that we conducted thus far over this time period as well. A really exciting component, and I'll go a little more deeper on this, but we finally were able to send a consultant from the Institute to Michigan and to the Weikart Center to finally get the training of trainers for the social emotional learning methods workshop series. And we're looking forward to kicking that off. And we were actually, just so you know, DC Network was also one of the first networks that were able to do the TOT. So that's really exciting. It's really, really a neat component, the way that they developed it. It's overall a 10 workshop method series, with the basics component, which is called Essentials of an SEL Framework, as the introduction component, which would be required of attendees to take before they can go into some of the other components. There's 3 tiers to those components, which one is around cognitive development, and that provides 2 that's a workshop in itself. And then 2 additional workshops are called Engaging Youth and Supporting Struggle and Facilitating Problem Solving. The middle tier is around emotional development, which again is a workshop base. And then 2 additional workshops are called Emotional Coaching and Cultivating Empathy. And the 3rd tier is around social development, a workshop again in itself. And then 2 additional workshops that go under that tier are fostering teamwork and promoting responsibility and leadership. The way I think we're going to frame this or look at it, because it is very intense and there's a lot of components, is I think we're going to start it as a pilot with a cohort of attendees that would then go through the entire series together, and we'll probably stagger that possibly on a quarterly basis. Still trying to think that piece out, but we want to make sure that we follow the exact components that YCART asked for, which is making sure that foundation training is first, and then we can continue offering moving forward from there. So I'll keep everyone informed as we kick off that new component, and that adds another 10 additional professional development workshops to our portfolio. So those are the updates for the Institute, and happy to answer any questions.
Excellent updates, Kevin. Thank you for that.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Commissioner. And Benia, I'm sorry, I'm not sure who I'm passing it to. I apologize.
Hey, Kevin. No
Thank you, Malik.
worries. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Malik Lang. I'm one of the grant management specialists for the OSC office. I'm here to provide updates for the OSC team related to grants. Fiscal year 2022 grant updates. School year closes July 30th, 2022. High impact tutoring closes August 30th, 2022. Year-round closes September 30th, 2022. Summer Strong closes September 30th, 2022. Safe Patches, Safe Blocks will close July, August, and September. Just to give a little bit more insight on Safe Patches, Safe Blocks, we decided to have a staggered closing. Some organizations have received amended grant agreements in order to support Safe Patches, Safe Blocks over the summer and beginning of the school year. So based off when the programming is happening and when programs are actually functioning, there is various closing periods for those organizations. So that just provides a bit more insight into the Safe Patches, Safe Blocks closing from July to September. Before we move on, just want to provide an opportunity for any questions related to the 2022 grant updates, as these are closing within the next few months.
Yes, sir. Mr. Lang, Commissioner Hill, I'd like to ask a question, please.
Yes, sir.
Regarding the Safe Passes, Safe Blocks. And I see it's still in operation, and I do see representatives from those organizations located in certain areas of the city, seems to me. So where are those individuals working at now, and what population are they? Well, not what population are they dealing with, but what school are they, like around certain school areas, or how did the agency decide to keep those safe passage individuals on the streets? Which I think is great, incidentally. I think it's great to see them still out there. But I'm also thinking, as the school is closed, are they there to help with summer SYEP, or youth that are working during the summer, or kids that are going to summer school?
I can jump in, Malik, if you want me to.
Sure.
So that is exactly correct. They are supporting summer school programs for some DCPS and DC public charter school sites. It was really based upon, as far as the extension, those grantees that had additional funds to be able to provide some additional services. Originally, the grant agreements and program was to end June 30, but we've seen a need for some additional services to support the Safe Passage for summer. So we have ad hoc'd it depending on where the highest need was, and those Safe Passage, Safe Blocks grantees that were able to continue on. So did the best that we could to continue services through September 30. They will be year round moving forward to eliminate any gaps.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And again, I think that it's fabulous that I still see them at certain locations in the city. great. Thank you.
Are there any additional questions related to FY 22 grants in terms of closing?
Alex, I think the PowerPoint is not on at the moment.
My only question, Mr. Lang, is when will there be evaluative data about how these grants, the outcomes associated with these grants, and how they perform this summer or this year? When will that information be available?
Yeah, I can, before I take my stab at it, Vania or Deborah, did you want to hop in before? I would assume quickly or shortly after the fiscal year ends, there'll be a report, but before I provide my feedback, I wanted just to get an opportunity for Vania and Deborah to jump in.
Malik, I think you're absolutely correct as it pertains to evaluation data, and I will say that a bit loosely, not too loosely. As Kevin mentioned in his update, the Institute team is currently doing site observations of all 43 of our summer sites. So, Co-Chair Holland, if you're talking about summer specifically, those site visits are happening now, and the program end date is August 27th. As Kevin mentioned, those site visits should be completed by around about August 12th or 19th, not exactly sure what Kevin mentioned. So we should have at least the data from their site visits available likely by the end of the fiscal year. Kevin, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, Vinny, you're correct. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I wasn't clear. I was actually talking about summer, so I appreciate that answer. It's just good to, we know resources go out the door. We know folks put them to use, but we also need to know, how, whether those resources make an impact, and how are they making an impact, and where we can pivot, accordingly. So,
Yes, and this summer, all summer sites are receiving a site visit. Every single one of the funded summer programs will have a visit.
fantastic.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna just hop right back in to quickly provide an update for fiscal year 2023. Alex, you want to transition this slide to the next one, please? Thank you. Fiscal year 2023 grant updates, school year 2022 to 2023. Applications are currently being reviewed. Awardees will be to receive notification no later than August 31st, 2022. Continuation applications are currently being reviewed. Grantees will receive notice no later than August 31st, 2022. And currently accepting applications for Safe Patches, Safe Blocks, RFA, which are due August 8th, 2022. I do want to also add that continuation applications are also based off their performance in 2022 in terms of compliance, will also indicate their continuation status for 2023 based off just compliance needs, spending of funds, things of that nature as well. So that is it for updates for the OSC office related to grants 2022 and upcoming 2023 grant competitions.
Thank you very much. Okay. So moving on to commission updates, we can go ahead to the next slide over here.
I did, Chairperson, I did have a question for the OST office.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Not directly related to the report that Mr. Lang just gave, but I don't even know if this is appropriate time to ask the question, but just see one of the, it was on my mind to ask about how the OST office is coming along with filling some of the vacancies that they have, specifically, you know, with the director, and then understand that that you may also have some vacancies with regard to grants management specialists. You guys are really, really working hard. I just want to tell you that your workload and caseload has got to be vicious. I do recognize that. And if there's anything that we can do to help push that process along to kind of, or kind of, you know, even the field. So let me ask this. Let me be more specific. How many positions are available for grants management specialists, Ms. Bowie? Let me ask that. Available now, open.
One. There's one position vacant for grant management specialist.
Okay. Did you recently hire for that position as well? Did you haven't?
No, we recently had our grant management specialist, and I won't say recently, she's been going maybe for about 2 months now. So we had a grant management specialist transition out, and we have not filled that vacancy yet. But we've only, of all of the positions the office had, for grant management specialist, there is one vacancy.
Thank you. Question number 2. Does the office plan to fill the executive director position this fiscal year?
Yes, the deputy mayor for education office is in the final stages of the hiring process. So I do believe someone will be appointed, for the lack of a better term, very shortly, as far as the executive director. And of course, I will ensure that there is immediate connection made to the commission. But that is what I am aware of.
Thank you. And again, just wanted to acknowledge the great work that you guys are doing, and whatever we can do as a committee, a commission, certainly would like to come along and support. Thank you so much.
Thank you, no problem. And I'll answer your initial question as well, because I think it is an opportune time to have the conversation, especially since we're not going to be voting and things. So if you don't mind, as far as vacancies overall, there are 3. We have a vacancy for the grant management specialist position. We still currently have a vacancy for the data analyst position, as well as a vacancy for the backfill of my previous position as supervisory grants management specialist. So for all intended purposes right now, we have 3 vacancies across the team. I have been doing the best that I can in the executive director interim space, managing a cohort of grantees as well. But just to answer your question, overall, we have 3 vacancies right now to be filled.
Thank you. And I just wanted to acknowledge all the great work again that you and your team are doing. And I don't know what we can do to help on our end, but you know, our heart is with you and certainly our prayers, and want to be supportive to the internal office as well, because I know that those caseloads must be very heavy for your team. So yeah, thank you for your response.
Second the sentiment, Commissioner Hill. Thank you for your questions and your comments. All right, so we've got here on the PowerPoint the appointment of committee members. I know that there have been a few inquiries and applications submitted for interested members of the community that wish to join our committees. I do not believe that we are set to appoint new members tonight, but there are some folks in the pipeline. if there's anything else I should share on that topic, certainly floor is open for the staff to add any more color or context if necessary. But I believe that's where we are with committee members. If not, we can go ahead to the next slide. All right, so strategic plan, timeline update. Strategic plan is one of the primary responsibilities of this body, is to help set guidelines and framework of this for strategic plan for this work. Obviously, that work needs to be aligned to the needs assessment. We need to know what are the current needs of the population that we support here in the city. And we need to be crystal clear on that before we move too far with designing a strategic plan that supports those needs. And so there has been some procurement delays as it relates to getting the needs assessment completed. Thankfully, to my understanding, the process or the roadblock has been cleared, and that the vendor that will be driving the needs assessment work is now, as of today, up and running. Is that correct? Yeah. And this will allow, pushing things back will allow us some more time to get real feedback from the community and just make sure that it's done right. So it's no point in us in doing things just for the mechanics. We got to make sure that the work that we do collectively as a body and the guidance and advisement that we provide to the Office of Hospital Time is done so with very clear input and influence from the people that we serve. So next slide.
I have a question. I'm sorry, before we move on.
Yeah.
Are there any budgetary implications for pushing back the timeline of the strategic plan in terms of grant funding being available or it being able to be awarded?
I don't know the answer to that question off the top of my head. I'm curious as to what the staff thinks, but it's a good question.
Oh, I think you're on mute.
Sorry, I said all of that. Apologies. Right now, we're in the process of reviewing applications for the next grant cycle, which is school year 22-23. So even as of right now, the completion of the pushing back the timeline for the strategic plan doesn't have real grant implications, right? We do want to be able to, as soon as possible, and especially before the next grant cycle, take into account the needs assessment and the strategic plan if we are able to, which would be before, hopefully, if we have enough information, we put out our cycle for summer. So it depends on what that looks like, but that is what it looks like right now. Because the strategic plan specifically has been something that we have developed in-house and haven't used a third party for. There aren't additional budget ramifications around trying to identify and contractual, but it is about ensuring that we have that information as we move into another grant cycle, if that answers your question, Commissioner Peeler.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Any other comments on the timeline that is on the screen here, or any implications that stem from it? Okay. All right, so we can move on to the next slide. So we got a few questions for the commission. And this is I want to see if this is in the context of the needs assessment or the strategic plan or both. I guess we could really consider this for both, but are there engagement ideas that you guys have as to how we can sort of be even more effective at gathering the right information that we need to solidify our needs assessment and set a strategic plan moving forward? There were a variety of different ways that we've done this in the past, but are there anything that's fresh and new or that piques your interest that is top of mind for folks?
If you don't mind.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Question?
Sure.
Are we going to do outreach to all of the nonprofits that are not necessarily grantees, but other nonprofits that work in partnership? So for example, are we going to reach out to intermediaries as well as the grantees? Are we going to have a session with school principals or regional superintendents? I don't have a good sense of what the outreach is going to be this fall. And I think this is an opportunity for us to go beyond the quote unquote usual suspects and figure out new ways to engage, and also to ensure that we're engaging some of the young people as well, so that we get as broad a touch as possible. And I know we're desperately short-staffed at the same time that I'm saying this, so I'm trying to figure out how we balance what we can do without taxing the staff even more.
I'll jump in. Thank you, Commissioner Siegel. I think that's exactly why we're asking the question here, right? And more specifically, as we think about the OST office onboarding a new executive director, right? I wanted to ensure that as we've continually talked about the strategic plan and postponing it, and this is more specifically steeped in the strategic plan, the needs assessment, the contractor will lead that work and those engagement sessions, but for the work that we are sort of deemed responsible for, I think you gave us, as far as the broad reach of engagement, some ideas, right, around ensuring that we're not only reaching out to grantees directly. That has, of course, been something we've been thinking about, and some of the other things that you mentioned. So that's exactly what the type of information that I would like to garner from the commission today, and don't want to be remiss for not getting the feedback from all of you around what the engagement of the community should look like. So those were great points and exactly hit some of those areas that we are talking about. Also, I'll just pile on a little bit more here when we think about things like methods of engagement. We have been virtual in even having our commission meetings for a while now, and we have heard, a mixed feedback around whether engagement sessions should be in person or virtual or hybrid. So really just want to garner as much feedback as possible, not only for ourselves, but really in support in moving the work forward.
If I can jump in again, I'm so torn on the virtual as compared to in person, because you really do learn so much more in person and people often feel freer at the same time that the numbers are going all over the place. So I guess the question is how to do this with enough advance notice and keep everybody safe at the same time. If school is in person, that says to me that some of the opportunity to meet with students and teachers can be in person, and community members, we're just going to have to play a little more by ear. And, some of us are out and about a fair amount and are always wearing our masks. And while I don't sound as clear when I have a mask on, people still understand what I'm saying. So I think we want to really try and balance the safety issues and the ability to communicate as comfortably and in person as possible.
I agree. I think in terms of the format of the engagement opportunities, that we should offer a wide range of options so that parents and families and young people can participate in a format where they feel safe and comfortable. So for some, that may be in person, for some, it may be virtual, and so on. So I think we should offer multiple, I think, options for people to select which with the select the ones that they're most comfortable with. In terms of engagement, I was just looking at the previous needs assessment because I was trying to remind myself on what it included and what it looked like. I really appreciate the fact that I guess the research methodology with canvassing, because I think that's a way to engage families and parents specifically that that may not have had any exposure to out of school time options. And I want to make sure that we don't miss their voices as well as we're thinking about the needs of children and youth in the district.
Thank you, Commissioner Peeler and Commissioner Siegel. I would echo your comments in a lot of ways. I think in-person engagements are obviously a very rich way to connect and sort of gather feedback. But I think we do need to think about how to make sure we have hybrid options available. Because I was squarely on the in-person train, but after battling COVID recently, like it's still out here. It's still something that we have to consider as we think about outreach and engagement and connecting with folks across the city. But the work still has to get done. So we don't want to, act as if we can just do everything exclusively virtually. I don't think anyone's suggesting that, but I think we do need to make sure that it still remains an option. The comments that have been shared have sparked a thought about the work that Kevin reported on earlier. I think Commissioner Siegel made a great point about making sure we're actually talking to young people in particular, and I think that's something that is often gets left behind. We talk to program directors, executive directors, parents, guardians often, but speaking to young people directly is quite possibly the most important source that we have for ensuring that needs are properly met and that programming is properly crafted and supported and resourced. So I'm wondering if there is a way, in any way, and this is obviously, we know you guys are short staffed and things are in motion. There's a way to pivot or leverage the current site visits that are occurring right now, because we have young people as captive audience programming that is going on now to gather their input in real time with respect to their experiences. And I'm sure that's already part of some of the site visiting protocols that are in place, but that's something that I would recommend be considered if it's not already underway.
Thank you. And I don't mind just giving an update on that. And Kevin can feel free to give any additional clarity. What I would say is I think that's a great idea. As far as we do now, our site visits, we don't engage directly with the program really at all. We like to be considered a fly on the wall, for the lack of a better term, and have program run. Normally, I think as being strategic and forward thinking, I do think maybe attempting to leverage that, or even maybe after a site visit or something like that, being able to speak with some youth might be a good best practice to think about as we move forward. And even if it isn't right now during summer programs, especially for the youth that our programs serve, it could be potentially in some of the visits that we have moving forward into the school year. So Kevin, feel free to add on, but I do think that's a great idea and something to think about as we engage with programs directly.
Right, yes, I agree as well. I think what we would want to do then is just to, make sure that the site visit maintains that 1 hour. What we typically look at is the 1 hour block of activity. So we have that consistency in programming. But if we know enough ahead, in working with the grantee, then having that separate opportunity and the same site visit consultant or myself or whomever it is on our staff could then also do the focus group type discussion with youth as well. So I could see it working. It's just we would definitely want to just make sure that we have that separation as well. But I like the idea.
One other thought that was occurring to me based on what you were both talking about, I was wondering if there's a way to kind of apply that train-a-trainer approach to the grantees and have the grantees conduct a focus groups, because I'm assuming the staff at the program sites have the trusted relationships with young people and might be able to engage in a way perhaps that the Learn24 staff or the Institute staff might not be able to, again, because of those relationships. So just, I think, another option to consider if there's a handful of grantees that could be trained to do that youth engagement directly.
As a separate thought, just one thing to consider as we do the outreach, both with youth and families in the broader communities, is just around language, and if it's possible to make sure that we have multiple languages to meet family and community needs, be important.
Excellent point. Any other thoughts, commissioners?
I don't have a comment about the method of engagement, but as we move forward, I'm trying to understand the thought around locations of engagement. If Bonilla could open that up a little bit when we move forward.
Sure. So when we were talking about this amongst our team, more specifically Alex and I, who have been talking about what our engagement looks like, we have talked about the hybrid nature and potentially the number of engagement events, having some of them be virtual and have some of them be in person. And we've talked a little bit about location, right? Especially of those in person. I haven't been with the team since there have been anything happening really in person. So Alex and I was just talking about attempting to be strategic about, especially if there can only be, let's say, 3 in-person opportunities, where they might be to cast the widest net of the captive audience. So I just wanted to see if there was any input or engagement from the commission, if as we think about potentially having in-person engagements where physically, right, we think it might best be suited either by ward, either by specific location, right? We try to be strategic, and so that's what the intended purpose of that bullet is for. It's really about where they might be best suited in person.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Just make a plug that if folks want to ponder on this, we also have the Outcomes and Needs Assessment Committee meeting next week, and that's a space that we can dive deeper into this topic and ideas.
Excellent pivot. Appreciate you. That is a perfect segue to our next slide. Let's go ahead and move forward. For committee updates, I'm not sure we have reps available to report on every single committee here, but I will open the floor for each one. And if there are members, if the chairs aren't here, if there are members who are able to give updates, please do so. But let's start off with funding and capacity building.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. I'm Gary Hill, and I am co-chair with Funding and Capacity with Commissioner Crump, who is not present tonight. I just wanted to look back on the commission member applications and wanted to thank Deborah for sending those applications over to us, which we are currently under review. I'm telling you, we have some very, very good candidates. I'm not sure if I'm the right one for this job. Some strong candidates here, very capable and very strong, very knowledgeable, and with many years of experience. So I'm not sure when we're supposed to report back on this in terms of our selections. And again, Commissioner Crump and myself are reviewing those potential applicants that were submitted to us. In terms of the Funding and Capacity Building Committee meeting, which was held July the 18th, we went over, we had a couple of new members, or not necessarily members as yet, but 2 new participants, and we kind of dove into a lot about what the committee was about, what brief summaries about what had taken place over the last year. We appreciate our government liaison, Deborah, who was also active in that conversation with those individuals. And basically, we see capacity building opportunities that are coming through the Institute for Youth Development, also in finalizing the physical management services opportunities for organizations under $250,000 or defined as small nonprofits. In OST office, my understanding is going to reach out to those small nonprofit organizations to determine their interest in receiving physical management services. And to date, I believe, if it's accurate, 10 small nonprofits will ultimately be selected. And I think that we did that. I thought that the selection is made. Is that correct, Deborah? Didn't we make the selection?
We have not yet made the selection.
Oh, we haven't made the selection. Okay. All right, getting a little ahead of myself there. Also, we had discussed the distribution to all eligible organizations with the OST office, and we'll report out on the outcomes of the grants after they have participated in organizations submitting final reports, which are due October the 30th. We didn't dig too much into the street plan. We've made a lot of progress, and we've kind of paused for a moment with regard to updating our strategic plan, and we're really excited about the progress that has been made. In terms of our next steps, we plan to meet again, not in August, but September the 19th. We will review the tactics in the plan again, and hopefully we'll be able to coordinate with the Coordination Collaboration Committee sometime very soon. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and that concludes my summary.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Commissioner Spector, Chair of Outcome and Needs Assessment, any report
Very
for the
quick.
general body?
Yes. We postponed the meeting last month pending the finalization of the needs assessment contract, which, as mentioned, was just awarded to DC Policy Center. We'll be meeting this coming Wednesday at 10 a.m. And we also have a few folks that have been nominated that will be discussing their nominations at that time.
Fantastic. Is there a rep from Quality Committee that can give a report?
I can do that for you, Commissioner Holland. It's going to be very quick. We postponed our June Quality Committee meeting. Basically, we actually had already completed our strategic initiatives for the strategic plan and felt pretty confident we're in a good place with that. And then we'll reconvene again in August for the next committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And coordination and collaboration. Is there a rep that can?
Yeah, we met in June and we're hoping to meet again in August. Our real issue is that we are not getting attendance at the meetings from the other government agencies. And so we're feeling a little stymied. And I know the staff has been reaching out to try and get folks re-engaged. And that's really our biggest challenge, in that unless we get representation from the other agencies of people who are senior enough to be able to really participate and help us work together, we're a little stuck. So that's where we are. I'm ready to stand on my head, bake cookies for everybody, do whatever, but we're really feeling a little stuck. And would welcome ideas from everybody of how we actually get the agency folks to come back to the committee. Because before the pandemic, we had great participation and great representation, and now we're hurting a little.
Yeah, that's a real challenge and concern. One I imagine that any similar effort is facing at the moment, but that is something I think will continue to be a struggle, but that doesn't mean we should stop. I think also having representatives, doing our best to engage representatives who represent agencies here in the general body, tapping in with them and seeing if there's recommendations they may have for who could be present from their respective agencies at those particular coordination and collaboration meetings, if possible. I think it's I'm sure something you've already probably done, but something that we should consider if we haven't.
And if
There's
I
also
can
some
just
suggestions coming in the chat too, but go ahead.
Yep, I'll just add one thing. So we do today, and we will also ensure to introduce, but we do have a new appointee from OSSI on our call today, Dr. Kelly Rudd Safran, who is an appointee from OSSI, who will be sitting on and being a participant of the Coordination and Collaboration Committee. So I know that is not a lot more engagement, but definitely I wanted to acknowledge that. I believe this is her first commission meeting. Not sure if she was able to attend a coordination and collaboration meeting yet, but I know we discussed that when we initially met. So just wanted to share that today, and she is on the
That is
call.
great. Thank you. I stepped in to be the interim chair of the committee, and I'm hoping that we can get an agency representative to chair the committee again. I think that makes a real difference. So I'm doing this until we can find an agency person who is willing and able to step in and chair it and can corral their peers and colleagues better than I can at this point.
Well, I'm looking forward to participating, so.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Do you want to, Dr. Safran, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing your name, do you want to take a few minutes and just share a little bit of background on yourself for the committee, just so folks can get to know you for a second?
Sure, not a problem. I am new to DC government, so I'm very excited to be here. I am the Director for Special Populations and Programs at OSSI in K-12. And I have a lot of programs underneath me, and one of which is 21st Century Learning Center. So I see the connection, and I can't wait to be engaged in this work. I am coming from Maryland, and there I've done a lot of things, starting with being a classroom teacher, I'm an administrator working in central office. I also work for the State Department in Maryland, but I am now here in DC, and I am completely dedicated to working with the students and youth here in the district. So thank you for having me, and I look forward to participating.
Very glad to have you join us. Thank you for being here. All right, so I think that is a good segue to round out this meeting. We can go to the next slide, which reminds folks when our next meeting will occur, September 22nd at our usual time, 6 p.m. Eastern, and that meeting will be virtual. So I do want to thank each and every one of you who were able to carve out the time to meet today. I know there's a bit of a surge with the pandemic. Folks are busy. Things come up. You guys still made your way here, and deeply appreciate that. But that is it for the content that we had planned for today's meeting. We do not have a quorum, so there's nothing to formally vote on. I don't even think it would be ideal to take seconds or excuse me, recommendation to adjourn the meeting. I'm just going to go ahead and call the meeting to a close because I think that is the best approach at this point. But thank you all for your time, and if you have any questions, feel free to correspond directly with me or the team. And we'll do our best to get you the information that you need. But I appreciate you all, and have a good evening.
Thank you. I have just one last thing for me. Just want to remind everyone that the August off-cycle meeting that we initially planned has been canceled. That was for the strategic plan. We will be making that now, as Commissioner Holland mentioned, in December. We'll send out an email. We are looking to have that December 8th. And there are options for December 1st and 15th if the commission so chooses. So right now, tentatively December 8th, but there will not be a meeting in August. Just wanted to remind all of you. Thank you so much, Commissioner, for stepping in and covering this meeting today. Thank you so much.
Of course. Only thing I'll add to that then is if we could go ahead and get a hold on our calendar sooner rather than later, even though it's tentative, just so folks kind of start to know that this is this is something that's going to happen, and we can sort of hopefully have it solidified by the September meeting. But it was my pleasure to jump in today, and again, take care of yourselves, and looking forward to connecting with you guys soon.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.